Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another video. Today we're going to be talking about Leizi, a unique archetype caster.
このレイズ、来訪と立法をこの身に負い、遠国の手と眼そして理と義を体現せし者。私の理念はロドスと異なるものであり、感染者と健常者との隔たりなど、私の気に留めることでもありません。ですが今は、あなたと共に戦わせていただきます。
Unlike previous spotlight I've done, I'm going to explain Leizi much more detailed this time because there are a lot of things that I want to explain about her. If you want to skip, feel free to do it, I already put the timestamp on the progress bar. Leizi falls into a unique archetype because of her trait that allows her to bounce odds damage to enemies next to them. Not only her trait provides her with bounce damage, but her trait also provides slow effect to enemies that got hit by the attack, which also includes the bounce damage as well. At Elite 1, her trait allows Leizi to attack 3 enemies, and on Elite 2, her trait allows her to attack 4 enemies. While her trait sounds very good, her trait also comes with a penalty of 25% damage reduction of every bounce to enemies. So in short, her attack reduced from 100% to 75%, and then reduced again by 25%, and then it reduced again by 25%. Now there are misconceptions on her trait that the damage reduced by 100% to 75% to 50% to 25%. Now unfortunately, fortunately, the damage does not reduce like this. Her damage reduction calculated of each damage reduction, not for 25% reduction. To simplify what I mean, let's take an example that her first damage is around 1000 points. Since first bounce is reduced by 25%, then her damage on that bounce should be around 750 points. For her second bounce, that 750 points is reduced again by 25%, not by 250 points. So her second bounce should be around 563 points. Unlike last time, her third bounce is a calculation of her second bounce damage reduced by 25%, which should be around 421 points if you calculate it. With that being said, instead of damage reduced from 100% to 75% to 50% to 25%, her damage is reduced by 25% per calculated bounce. To make it easy, it should be around 100% to 75% to 56.25% to 42.1875%. Damn, that's a mouthful. Her talent allows Leizi to deal more damage to enemies that are not blocked. Unlike Skyfire or Sessa who have better damage when they attack blocked enemies, Leizi is otherwise. Leizi's talent shines very well if you are using delay-based team composition. By delay team, your team consists pull or push specialists like Shell or Feather, slow supporters like Istina or Earth Spirit, stuns or bind specialists like Ethan and Red. Stat-wise, Leizi is below average of single target casters' attack stats. Like typical casters, Leizi does not have high HP, does not have high defense, and she has 20 arts resistance. Interestingly, her attack speed is lower than a single target caster, but also faster than an AoE caster. This means she can be better than a single target and also AoE caster when you need a semi-AoE damage to enemies that are farther from each other. One of the best examples is Annihilation and surprisingly some of the CC stages as well. Unfortunately, she has very expensive DP costs, which makes her a bit difficult to be deployed in the battlefield. Especially CC sometimes have a contract to triple the DP cost of ranged units or reduce the DP recovery speed. Now let's get into her skill demonstration. I will give my opinion about her at the end of the video. Since CC is now live, let's test her on CC stages. I will try to utilize Leizi with the highest contingency level as possible. Her first skill is a generic attack upgrade by 100%. This skill is surprisingly good for Leizi as she can deal much significant damage while also providing much more utility thanks to her talent and also her trait. There's not much that I can explain from this skill as it is very straightforward. If you ask me if this skill is worth the M3, I'd say it is worth the M3. The skill does look very plain, but it is very justified since she already have a lot of utility from her trait and also her talent. So I put her in this position on purpose because her bounce damage can still damage the enemies outside of her range anyways. You should be able to see what I mean throughout the video. A very simple upgrade I know, but if you notice here, her skill is able to take down most of the enemies easier than before. Since there is no block in this team composition, her damage increased quite significantly. Her Spirit and Manticore did slow the enemies, but Leizi also able to slow most of the enemies as well, who are not within her Spirit and also Manticore's range. Added with Ethan's Bind, the enemies are unable to get away from the range easily and slowly being taken down by Leizi. If you notice, you can also see that I am able to spam her skill often. Not only how spammable the skill is, the duration is also equal to her SP requirement. The skill might be generic, but it is very good if you need constant attack buffs, and thanks to her first skill alone, the CC stage is cleared pretty easily. Let's take a look on her second skill. In here I will take current daily CC by the time I am recording this. Her second skill, Thunderclap, is a significant attack upgrade by 150% and also allow Leizi to ignore her trait penalty. Remember, her trait has a penalty of damage reduction of each attack bounce to the enemies. When this skill is active, all damage now deals 100% each bounce instead of 25% damage reduction each bounce. While this skill sounds very powerful, this skill also has a bad drawback of long cooldown by 80 SP requirement. On more general stages, you can only activate this skill once, maybe twice if lucky. This skill does compensate with 50 initial SP, so you can use this skill for the first time quite early. If you see it carefully, all bounce damage now no longer have trade penalty, making Leizi able to easily take down the enemies. You can also see that Leizi's damage alone is able to almost one-shot the small armored enemies pretty easily, even if one of them are away from her main range. Remember, this is contingency contract. The contract I take gives effects of allies have minus 10% attack and the enemies have 100% more HP than normal, so you should be able to guess how big their HP pool is. And with Leizi alone, she is capable to almost take them down in one shot, and it's very impressive, especially she also slowed them down as well. You might see here that she is able to take down the heavy armored enemy with half HP bar very easily regardless of how big their HP pool is. Not only that, Leizi is able to damage the caster pretty nicely even though the caster has very high art resistance. With that being said, Leizi's second skill is a very powerful skill regardless of the inconvenient SP cost. In my opinion, she is a pretty good caster for her unique archetype. Her trait alone already has good utility, making her able to do a lot of things at once. Her talent is also very powerful if you are using delayed team composition like I mentioned earlier. The problem about Leizi is that her cost is very expensive for a caster that has lower base damage than average casters. I do know she provides a lot of utility, but it is hard to justify the DP cost since her attack stats are below average of casters out there other than the future 4-star caster, Click. While her second skill has very monstrous damage, her SP cost is very high and is not equal with her skill duration, which is a bit unfortunate. If you're asking why I am able to use Leizi's second skill faster on the skill demonstration, it is because I use Helynt's second skill and also Warframe's talent, which allows Leizi to recharge her SP faster, making her able to use her second skill again. Although she has higher damage with her skills on, it is a bit hard to justify the heavy advancement, since delayed team composition are not that versatile and also not too consistent to begin with. Even on more casual team composition where 3 block operators, sniper, caster, and medic exist, she doesn't shine very well because her slow attack speed. Not only that, her attack animation is so slow that sometimes her attack got cancelled very often. They need to fix this on future patch, so it's a good thing that they still notice Leizi. But if you're persistent, don't let my opinions get in your way. As how wrinkly her kit is, her second skill is so powerful it hits very hard to enemies with low art resistance, and hits very nicely to enemies with high art resistance. You do need timing to use her second skill, or if you want to use her second skill more often, you can use SP batteries like Teloxys, Liscarm, Saria, or others in the same category. Leizi is a beast when it comes to delayed team composition. Since late team composition kinda lacks of DPS, it's hard to finish the stage fast. Leizi is pretty much an angel sent from heavens for this kind of teams because her talent allows her to gain more damage when the enemies are not blocked, while also slowing them down thanks to her trait. This is pretty much the reason why I'm able to clear these stages that I showcase in this video pretty easily. With good team composition, you can utilize Leizi and make her a total beast for your team. Now the $1 million question, is she worth the high investment? For me personally, I say she is worth the investment. Whether she's worth it for you or not, I'll leave what the video shows today to be your answer. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you like it, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more contents like this. As always, stay safe everyone, and peace.